Busch Gardens Williamsburg, one of the best theme parks you could ever ask for, with fun for families, thrill seekers, and kids just starting their roller coaster journey. Anyways, this will be my full in-depth review of Busch Gardens Williamsburg in Virginia. This is truly one of the most beautiful amusement parks in the world. It has been voted the world's most beautiful theme park for over 20 years in a row. Now that's impressive. And in these videos, you can definitely see why. If you're looking for the roller coasters, then this place has it. And if you're looking for the roller coasters in this video, then that would be at about the 9-minute 30-second mark. So you can go there if you're just looking for the roller coasters, because this is going to be a long video. So, yeah, just giving you a heads up. Again, this is going to be my full in-depth review. So if you're looking for something specific, then you better search for it, because this is long. By the way, while we're here, the green thing that's just jetting into the sky right there, that is the Sky Ride. And while you're here, I 100% recommend that you ride it. It is one of the most scenic parts of Busch Gardens. And a lot of this camera footage is actually from there because of how scenic it is. Also, I would like to mention that this park is themed to Europe. Each part of the park is actually a different country in Europe. And I just find that really cool because the rides actually interact with that theme. Like Verbolten is one of the most themed rides here. And it is in the German area of the park. And it is themed to the dark forest in Germany. So, I just find that really cool. And it is beautiful. They do it so well. I can't believe how accurate it got. Like, if I took a picture of the France section of the park, I could send that to my friends and say, hey, look, I'm in France. And they would not know. It's just that good. Sorry, the file got a little corrupted there. But look how scenic it is. It's beautiful. I cannot believe how well they do everything. They try to do something at Busch Gardens and they just nail it. It's actually incredible. I can't stress enough how much you guys need to go to this park because it is one of the best places I've ever been. It is a great place for families. It's a great place for kids. And if you're a thrill seeker, bonus, they've got so many good roller coasters. It's just, yeah, you have to go here more than one day because it's just so good. You cannot do everything and get the full experience in just one day. That's why every time we went here, we went for 3 days and we got the family deal. And we all loved it so much that instead of going to the water park the last day, we just all voted to go to the theme park one more day because it's just, dare I say that this is a better family park than a lot of Disney and Universal parks because it has stuff to do for everyone, including some of the rides like the Loch Ness Monster have very short height restrictions, so everyone can do them. Like usually roller coasters with the over-the-shoulder restraint have height limits like 50, 52, or 54, like Griffin and Alpengeist. But on the Loch Ness Monster, it has over-the-shoulder restraints and still manages to have a height restriction of 48 inches. So me and my little brother, who is only 48 inches, me and him marathoned that on that second. Also, this is a quick story. When we were on the Loch Ness Monster for our second ride, someone left their water bottle on the ride. And usually you don't think about aero loopers having airtime, and neither did I. Except I knew that there were 3 airtime pops. You got a little bit of floater, but I didn't realize how powerful floater actually was. So we just left the water bottle there, and then halfway through the ride, after the first loop, we went into that first floater hill, and the water bottle came up out of the car and then fell back down in. It was such a cool experience to watch the water bottle, because I didn't realize that that actually had good airtime. It made me wish that I could take it on like Apollo's Chariot, because that thing's all about airtime. But sadly, it has like way too many things, so we couldn't do that. But yeah, the one that was shown right there was Grover's Alpine Express. It is a small kiddie coaster, but it's actually one of the better kiddie coasters. I actually really like it. It is really good. It is a really good kiddie coaster. Unlike the Great Pumpkin Coaster a little down the road at King's Dominion, this roller coaster actually gives a little bit of thrills. It's really good, and I like it. Usually you wouldn't expect that out of kiddie coasters, but it actually gives you a little surprise, and on the first helix, you actually feel a little bit of positives, and that's really nice. That's what you need to feel in kiddie coasters like that. It's like everyone in my family loved it, and it was most of the time the first roller coaster we went to because it was so close to the entrance, right next to Apollo's Chariot and Tempesto. We'll get to those later, but we usually just went on it first, and then we kind of went into the Fiesta Italian section of the area, and then we'd head up Apollo's Chariot and Tempesto, and it is pretty easy to find your way around the park. And we only realized that the second time we went to Busch Gardens is that there is like a direct path from the entrance to the Loch Ness Monster. Because at first we were going some really complicated way, and it was just weird. Now you will not see Pantheon in this because this was all recorded in 2019, and I'm making this review in 2019. So, as of 2019, the newest ride is Finnegan's Flyer, an S&S Scream and Swing. Sadly, we didn't get to ride it because we didn't want to wait in the long line. Plus, there's just one at my home park called, yeah, we have one at our home park, and we didn't really bother waiting in that line. But it would have been fun because we rode the one at our home park, and it was fun. So, now talking about the flat rides. We already went over the roller coasters, and we know that they are amazing roller coasters. So, the flat rides are also really good. A lot of them are like actually flat on the ground, and it's really nice because a lot of them are kiddie rides that you can do with smaller kids, and they also are just really thrilling as well. Like, there's a roller coaster, there's a flat ride right next to Invader called Les Catapults, and it is really good. It has amazing laterals for a little whip ride. It's like one of the better flat rides. They also have the Mock Tower, which is a 240-foot roto drop tower, and it is very good. They also have a log flume and a boat little coaster called Escape from Pompeii, which is a really good one. Now, let's get to the roller coaster POVs and reviews here, which is going to be really fun. Kicking off the lineup, we have Grover's Alpine Express, the kiddie coaster, and it's a pretty good kiddie coaster, but it's not great. It's not very good, but it's one of the better kiddie coasters. You go up here, it's about like 20 feet tall, and you go into a little straight section, and then you just go down a little. right here you feel a little bit of positives around this first little helix, and then you get to the top and you start slowing down a little, and then you just go around, and then you're just meandering a little bit. Yeah. Credit to Death by Illusion for the POV. Next, we have the GCI Hybrid Coaster Invader. And people say this first little part is unnecessary, but I actually like it because it does give some pretty good laterals. Now, this chain lift is pretty fast going up, and then it just significantly slows down here. And I don't really like that. By the way, this one has an enclosed drop, so it's actually a very cool drop. It's nice, and everything echoes going down the drop. So when people are screaming and yelling, it's like really good. By the way, the restraints on this are really good, so you do get a lot of airtime. You drop down a little and you're actually going pretty fast. You feel some laterals around that turn. You only get a little bit of airtime here in the back row. Then you plummet down the drop, and then you go into here. And then this part is really intense. You have your first 2 airtime hills, and you get whipped out of your seat. You are getting thrown into the air. The third time I rode this, I loosened my restraint a little, so I got so much airtime. And then here is like madness with the airtime. Like, chill, bro. And then you go down into your giant downward helix, and this is the second fastest part of the ride, and it is fast. This ride feels so much faster than it actually is, and it is amazing. Gosh, do I love this roller coaster so much. It feels like it's 100 feet tall. It feels like a hyper coaster, actually. It's intense. It has the airtime. It's great. It has the airtime. It has the positives. It has the laterals. It is truly an amazing hybrid coaster. Good job, GCI. Credit to Coaster Force for these 2 POVs. Going into Tempesto, the premier ride Skyrocket 2. There's not really anything special about this, just their normal Skyrocket 2. Forwards, backwards, forwards again, and then you complete the layout. It does feel like a short ride, though, because it is only 45 seconds. But, I mean, this Tempesto is the only Skyrocket 2 with comfort colors, and I hate those things. They are the worst. Credit to Coaster Force for the POV. The comfort colors are amazing. The comfort colors suck, but the roller coaster is great. Coming in next is the Loch Ness Monster. Credit to Coaster Force for this POV. I know no one says this part is unnecessary, but like my parents did, and I completely disagree with that. I think it really adds to the experience, the first pre-drop. It really gives you a sense of fear if you're a first rider, like my little brother. He was pretty terrified. The lift goes very slow, but that just gives me time to talk about it. This roller coaster has interlocking loops, which is amazingly cool. That is incredible. It is the only roller coaster still in operation with interlocking loops. And boy, it is so good. It only has the 2 inversions, which are those loops. But yeah, it's really good. Again, this is the coaster that the water bottle floated up on. It is an Aerodynamics custom looper built in 1978, and it is the oldest operating coaster in Busch Gardens, and it still holds up. It's still one of the smoother aero coasters out there. It's very good. So you're gonna drop down into your first 140-foot drop, and it feels big. It feels big. Now here's the roughest part of the ride. You kind of jerk into that turn. There's a little bit of headbanging there. You don't get any airtime here, but then you go fast through this loop. It is a fast loop. There's your first inversion, and here's where the bottle started floating. So then you go through the turn, and then you pop up into a little pop of airtime, into the mid-course brake run, and then into a giant triple helix. This part is so intense, but 2 words to describe it as well. Head banging. It's pretty rough through this tunnel, man. Then you pop out, you get a flash of daylight, pop into some more airtime, and then you shoot like halfway up the lift hill here. This is such a scenic part of the ride right here, because you are just like, you do a little pre-drop, and then right in that little part right there, there were like some deer when me and my brother were marathoning it, and it's fun. So then you go down into your second drop, and then into your second inversion, the next vertical loop, and then you pop up into the final brake run, and then you head into the station, ending your mythical journey on the legendary Loch Ness Monster. It still holds up. It's 41 years old. I can't believe how good this still stands up. It's a very good roller coaster. And in the number 4 spot, we have Verbolten, the Reveiw multi-launch coaster. This roller coaster looks like it's made by Intamin or Mock Rides, but it's actually made by a company called Reveiw, and this was actually their first ever thrill coaster that they made. It is still very good. So, you come in here, it looks very awkward and jerky here, but since it has lap bars, you can't really feel anything, and it's very smooth. You pop up here into your first launch, and you go into the legendary tunnel. You are surrounded by theming here. Everything is themed. You can't see crap. It feels like you're flying upside down, but really you're just in a bunch of helixes. Credit to Coaster Force again, and you pop up into the mid-course brake run. You can't really see it though, and then you drop right back down into more helixes, and then you're just flying through here again. You are flying, and then you pop up into more brakes, and you're just crawling through here. You're crawling, and then all of a sudden, you just stop here. You stop, and if you don't want to hear the surprise, skip to like 30 seconds, because this is going to spoil the most horrifying part of Verbolten. Boom! A drop track. The track drops out of nowhere. It is ridiculous. My dad's sunglasses flew up out of his pocket. Then you launch again into another S-bend and into the second best part of Verbolten, the drop. It's only 88 feet, but it looks and feels way bigger than it actually is. You drop down 88 feet, and then you don't really feel any positives going around that turn or this one. But then you head up, you actually get a little bit of ejector there, and then you pop up, you feel positives around that turn, and then pop into the brakes. Overall, it is an amazing roller coaster. I absolutely recommend it. It's very good. I love it. For a company's first ever thrill coaster, I mean, it's really good. It's glossy, smooth, no rattle, nothing. It's a great roller coaster. And it used to be the Big Bad Wolf. Next up, we have Alpengeist, the B&M inverted coaster built in 1995. I think I got that right. I don't know. I didn't check. But you go up this lift hill, and this is actually the tallest and fastest inverted coaster in the world. And it has held that record for really long. I'm surprised that no one's beaten it already. Because technically, Wicked Twister and the other ones that are taller than it aren't full circuits, so they don't really count as the tallest. But it is, yeah. This roller coaster is so whippy. It is by far the most intense roller coaster at Busch Gardens. So why isn't it number 1? Well, we'll get to that in a little. Credit to Coaster Force. Okay, so you go into the typical B&M pre-drop, and then you just plummet. It's only 195 feet, but this thing feels massive. That drop is on forever. Right at the bottom of the drop, you feel so many positives, and then you go into your first inversion, the Emmeline, and then into a massive loop. That loop's giant. And then into the snappiest part of the ride, a Cobra roll. This crap is insane. It has an insane rattle, though, so, it's pretty hard to ignore. Then you snap into the mid-course brake run, and then fall back down into another drop. And I got stung by a bee on this roller coaster before, into your first 0G roll. And then you turn a little into your second 0G roll. And then you just keep turning and turning and turning. And then your legs go numb around this part. It's intense. And then you turn into here. And then it's pretty good. And then you pop into the brakes. And that concludes your ride on the Alps of the Alpengeist. It's a very great ride. It's really intense. A back row, right side ride on this is probably one of the most intense experiences you can get. So I totally recommend this in the front and then the back right seat. Okay? And coming in the number 2 spot, we have Griffin, the B&M dive coaster. Wow. Yeah. This track is really big. I didn't realize how big dive coaster track was until I actually rode this. As of 2019, this is the 3rd largest dive coaster in the world. In 2018, when I first rode it, it was the 2nd tallest, and yeah, still 205 feet. It's massive, and even next to Alpengeist doesn't even look that much smaller than it. But yeah, Griffin is still holding up really well. It is one of the smoothest rides at Busch Gardens. Actually, I take that back. It is the smoothest. No rattle. You can't feel nothing. It is so smooth. You go into here, and instead of having normal holding brakes, it's actually a chain that holds you over the drop. You're hanging here at 45 degrees looking over that 205-foot drop, and then you just plummet right here. It's long. You fly out of your seat. And because this doesn't have the vest restraint, it has the over-the-shoulder restraints, you get so much airtime. You go into that Emmeline, and then you pop up into the mid-course brake run, and then this drop tries to be the drop, but it's not as good. It's like the off-brand drop. It's still pretty good, though. You drop down vertically again, and then you pop up into another Emmeline, and then you just go in, and then you pop and get some nice ejector there, and then into the water brakes, which spurts up a large splurge of water, and then you go up, get some ejector, and pop into the brakes. Overall, Griffin is an amazing dive coaster. I can't stress enough how good this is, and you definitely need to hop a ride, not just for the credit, also for the experience. And number 1, we have the B&M Hypercoaster Apollo's Chariot. This thing is 20 years old as of 2019. It was the first ever hypercoaster by B&M. Credit to Ben for this video. And here we go. Down the drop, and you get some nice floater going down this drop. 210 feet, giant. You go up, and then you go up, and you get so much floater over this hill. It's so much floater. And then you go down into the tunnel, and then a little trim, but you don't even notice it. You get some floater over there, and then you twist down sideways. You get some really good positives around this double helix. You're just going up, and the turns get tighter and tighter and tighter. And then you go down to a sideways, almost completely sideways. You go down. And then in the ride, you hit the mid-course brake run. And then during the ride, the airtime slowly fades into ejector the farther you get into the ride. Like about at this point, it's more of flow ejector. and then like it fades into ejector towards the end of the ride. Like at first it's floater, then it's flowjector, then it's ejector. Like there was ejector, and then there's ejector, and then you go into there, and then more ejector. Overall, it is a great roller coaster. You have to go on this no matter how long the line is. It is so good. The airtime is incredible. I love it. Overall, Apollo's Chariot is a really great roller coaster, 210 feet. Amazing airtime. It's like the first hill is just pure floater, and then it fades into ejector. Which, like, I've never actually seen a roller coaster do that before. Usually it's just one or the other. And now with the modern hypers, it's just floater. But I love it how, like, big companies build roller coasters, and then B&M just takes that, and they're like, I can do that better. Like, Aero came out with Magnum XL 200, and then B&M was just like, I can do that better. And then overall, Busch Gardens is an amazing park. It's for families, it's for kids, it's for thrill seekers. I cannot stress enough how much you need to go here. It is such a great park, and if you're in Virginia, hit up King's Dominion and Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This has been my review.